We're talking shotguns. I got a Remington 870 Express Magnum that I got for about $320, made in the USA, versus an ATI made in Turkey $100 special that I bought from Palmetto State Armory. Both of these are 12 gauge shotguns. Let's shoot them up. Let's talk shotguns. So getting back to it, I paid around $100 for the ATI shotgun from Palmetto State Armory. You're gonna find that for roughly around the $200 price range most of the time. And then the Remington I picked up for about $320 brand new. So, you know, the differences are there, but what are you going to get for your money? Here is a quick list of the similarities between the two, you know, that I found on there, but let's have a closer look at some of the components that I think are important to consider when you're kind of deciding to buy one of these two. So let's have a look at the Extractors here. Both of them are single claw Extractors. Unlike the Mossberg that has two, some people will say it's a disadvantage. I don't know how often they break. All I know is that they seem to do their job pretty well over my testing. Next up, let's have a look at the loading gates on the bottom. Both of these are bottom loading and both of these are side ejecting. Now, some people like the Mossberg shotgun because there is no floor plate to push out of the way. And I can tell you this much, the spring on the follower on the ATI is so damn stiff that I could see how getting your thumb caught in that thing would be pretty painful. And that's a common complaint that some people have with the Remington. But the people that love Remington just say that it's a training thing. So for me, it's a disadvantage. For some people, they're not really going to care. Here's a look at the front sights on these. So you got the bead sight on the Remington at the top and the ramped sight at the bottom on the ATI. I really like the ramp sight on the bottom for the ATI. You can actually paint it up with some fluorescent green or orange nail polish and very easy to pick up. Both of these stocks are synthetic. The Remington's at the top, the ATI's at the bottom. You're going to notice a real spongy buffer pad on the ATI, and I think it really needs it here because the receiver is aluminum, so it's supposed to help take some of that recoil away. The Remington has a solid steel a receiver up there, so it eats up a lot of that recoil. Not that you're going to be worrying about recoil sensitivity when you're shooting shotguns, but you know. Remington on the top, not milled out for a scope, so you can easily drop a scope on the ATI down at there on the bottom. So for me, $100 for a milled receiver, of course. Both of these have synthetic forearms. I didn't notice a big difference between the ribbed forend, I hate saying ribbed forend, and the checkered forend on the Remington. They both seem to operate pretty much the same as far as feel goes. Let's have a look at this here. So here's the ejectors. A lot of people have told me, and a lot of YouTube videos were saying that the ejector here on the Remington is riveted in and they consider it a disadvantage. And I agree, it's a mechanical difficulty or could be a mechanical problem, but how often do they break? I don't know. You know, I don't know how often these things come off, and if they do, they have to be sent back to a gunsmith or Remington to be re-riveted and put back on. So can it be a difficulty? Yeah, because if that thing breaks, your shotgun will not eject shotgun shells. Now the ATI and their aluminum receiver has a little bit different approach to it. They actually mill it out there. So I didn't notice any reliability issues. I can see maybe for some reason if some of that broke off for some reason, then that might be, I mean, your shotgun would be useless. There's no way to replace it. But I think as a whole, a majority of us probably won't see that. And again, depending on what you're going to use it for. Both of these have polymer trigger guards, and I wanted to draw your attention to the carriage release levers here. The AT on the bottom has a wider, thicker carriage release lever, and I really found it easier to release, especially because the trigger guard and the ATI is cut out more, so it's easier for my my pointer finger to reach around that trigger guard and release that carriage belt. And when you've been shooting a lot in cold weather, that little tiny sliver of a carriage release lever there on the Remington can be a little bit painful. But those are some of the main things that I've seen that are different. Let's have a look at both of the rifles kind of next to each other, and I'll go over the differences and similarities. So both of them have synthetic stocks and forends. The Remington has a solid steel receiver. The ATI has an aluminum receiver, which some people argue is like the polymer versus steel. It's up to you what you want to do. I didn't really notice a performance difference, but I did notice a gigantic recoil difference. I mean, it was noticeable that even with that pad, that buffer pad from the ATI, I was still taking, you know, crack shooting 2 3/4 shells. Oh, since we're on that, both of these will shoot 3" and therefore can shoot 2 3/4. You'll get 4 in the magazine with a 3" and 5 in the magazine with 2 3/4. They both can handle Magnum loads, so there's a similarity there. Both of them have double action bars that attach the fore end to the shotgun. I like the finish on the ATI a lot better than the standard kind of entry-level finish that Remington puts on their entry-level stuff. But I can see how if the finish on the ATI scratches that aluminum receiver, depending on where you live, might get a little bit rusty, you know, depending on what you're going to do with it. But, you know, it's lighter. So there's another conversation on itself. We're going to see a little bit later on that the Remington shotgun is a little bit heavier because of that steel receiver. But you got to kind of decide what you're going to use it for. If it's just going to sit there at home, then the Remington might be fine. But if you're going to be carrying it across, you know, jungles or deserts, you may want to consider the ATI as a way, because it does save on overall weight. The actions on both of these, nothing spectacular. They weren't very smooth. You know, when I pressed the lever, the carriage release lever, they both didn't naturally fall down. And I know you can do work on it to make it fall that way, but out of the box, both of them were a little bit rough. I really like the milling on the ATI, you know, because I just like the ability to attach optics, because I'm not a very good iron sight shooter, so that's kind of nice to have. Here's a picture of the lift gate on the Remington. And look how easy my thumb just goes in there. It was just press it, get it out of the way. And again, it's a training thing. Some people hate it. They prefer the Mossberg that doesn't have that floor plate to press out of the way. But very easy. Now, kind of what I want to show you here is I want to get it around and show you again another shot of the riveting in here. So there's 2 rivets that hold it in. There's one there and one back there that hold the ejector in. I'm going to turn this around so you can kind of see kind of what it looks like on the other side. You got to kind of tilt it around to see it in the light, because they do a really good job at riveting in there. So you can see the 2 dots, one here and one here. Those things are going to have to be popped out and replaced. So again, the argument's going to rage, well, which one is better? Is it more reliable? Is it a pain in the butt? I haven't heard of much ejectors breaking, so to each his own on that one. Now here's the floor plate on the ATI, and look at how stiff this thing is. I mean, again, you got to think of it, if you're going to use it for home defense, not a big deal. It'll be loaded for you. But if you're out there kind of rolling around, it's so stiff. It is ridiculously stiff. And you might even get your glove caught in there. And then what I'm pointing out here is just, you know, how it's the ejector is milled into the actual receiver itself. And again, if it breaks off, shotgun useless. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I mean, I'll shoot a shotgun maybe once or twice a year. Here's a look at the safeties on both, and I just wanted to point out that they're similar as well. Basically, you push it in and you push it out to fire, and they're both located in the same place. Both the carriage release and the safety are in the same place. So similarities there. If you're looking to save a couple $100 there, not a bad way to go. You can see the Remington 870 Express Magnum. They do just make it Express, but the Magnum is able to fire those Magnum rounds, a little bit heavier load. And then here you can see also the safety's in the exact same spot. You can see how it's the carriage release lever here is so much thicker. It's a lot easier to use there. And you can see the polymer, the cutout on the polymer trigger guard there, really nice. And get some checkering on the stock there, but you know, whatever. Here you go. So here's the butt pad, recoil pad on the Remington. It's not very forgiving, but it doesn't need to be, because that steel receiver really does a good job at taking that recoil away. I really like shooting the shotgun. If I had to tell you which one I like shooting better, I like shooting the Remington a lot more. So you can see how spongy that is. Spongy. Spongiosum? Shame on you for those people who know the spongiosum, and shame. You can't put a spongiosum on a shotgun. There's a look at the checkering and the stock. I like the stock on that. It's kind of fancy looking. It's all tactical. But here you go. Here's your trigger pull results. Remington at just about 5 pounds, the ATI at 8.6. It's a pretty heavy trigger. Here we can see that the Remington is 6.9 pounds overall. And you'll see here that the aluminum receiver is a lot lighter at 5.16 pounds if you want to round that up. So that's all good and dandy. Here are the reliability and the accuracy results. Here's some Winchester birdshot. I think those are 7.5 pellets. So the Remington is up first. Oh man, that was so much fun. And switching over to the ATI next. Let's just have a look at what that is there. I think that was maybe about 5 yards away. There's the ATI. Oh, I loved having the range all to myself. This is also shot in Las Vegas. Yeah, there you go. There's 3 there. Here's some Estate buckshot. These are all 2 3/4 shells. Man, buckshot. It'll ring your bell. Boom! Right in the upper chest. Got you in the throat, right in your esophagus. Got that one. And back over to the ATI. And I had to slow fire here, guys. I don't have enough training and skill to rapid fire a shotgun. Semi-automatic shotguns are hella fun to shoot because all you do is bang on the trigger. But pump action's not really used to doing it. I couldn't, you know, get the motion down to be fast at it. But I've seen some people that are crazy fast at pump action. So I mean, the accuracy is there. That's with the double-aught buckshot. And now I got some slugs. Federal slugs, loading up the Remington. Man, I love shooting that Remington shotgun. Oh. Man, can you imagine getting shot in the head with a slug at that range? I think your head would explode. It would have to explode, like boom. Oh. Anyway, guys, that's the review on those. If I had to recommend one or the other, I would say, you know, if you can afford it, get the Remington, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with that ATI shotgun. You could shoot it all day. And if you can catch the ATI on sale for $100, dude, go for it. I guess that's the main point that I want to get out of here. Is both of these are entry-level shotguns. I think you can group all of them together in the same category. So my theory on that is, hey, if you can go as cheap as you can on an entry level, why not? So that's the end of the review between the Remington 870 Express Magnum and the ATI TAC PX2. I hope you guys found it useful. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. It'll help me keep the videos going. And as always, guys, I will catch you later.